Hello, I'm Kevin Henry, and welcome back to my show. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. It helps us get the show to the top of the charts. Also, for those of you who like to listen to podcasts, please don't forget to check us out and follow us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Amazon Music. I would also like to mention that we need your help to keep this show on the air. We've been doing investigations and we need your help. Whatever you can do, $5, $10, $20, or more, will help keep us producing the shows. The donation link to Ko-Fi is down below in the show notes. In the coming weeks, we're also going to be offering memberships where we'll be providing exclusive shows just to members, show outtakes, and special access to the paperwork and documents relating to the crimes and murders we've been covering on this show. So stay tuned for more news on memberships in the coming weeks. Tonight on this episode, we're tearing into the heart of the beast. Look around. This isn't the America we were promised. It's a controlled demolition of our society and major cities. A scripted circus where elections are theater, freedom is an illusion, and the elites pull every string behind a digital curtain. Our guest, Mark Cook, is a man who saw the Matrix Code, literally. A cybersecurity expert who woke up, unplugged, used his own life savings to hit the road in an RV to warn the rest of us. He's seen how our votes are hijacked, how our voices are silenced, and how the criminals running this system use complexity as a weapon. They want you compliant, distracted, hopeless. But here's the truth. This system isn't broken. It's working exactly as they designed it. So what do? We fight back. We run for office, we expose the fraud, we take back what they stole from us, precinct by precinct, county by county. The era of silence is over. If you know what's happening and you're not speaking up, you're helping them. It's time to name names, flip tables, and remind the ruling class this country belongs to we the people. And we won't stop until people are held accountable. Now let's get into it. No one is above the law. The people have had enough. We will root out the criminals and expose them all. We're fighting to expose the criminal element in Texas. Our investigation in the Brazoria County's justice system has just begun.
And now your host, Kevin Henry.
Please welcome to the show, Mark Cook. Mark, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It means a lot to me that you're taking the time to talk to our audience here in Texas. Mark, can you explain to us what you're involved in with the Hand Count Roadshow and exactly what that means and what you're doing out in all the different states?
Well, what I found as I've traveled around right after the 2020 election, trying to figure out what the heck happened. And I'm just a normal citizen. I just wanted to know, was the election rigged? Was it not rigged? I hadn't really paid attention to elections. And as I dove in a little bit, because I was asked to go out to DC to help investigate the election, because I'm a cybersecurity guy, and I saw a system that was built very, very poorly, and in fact would have been built nearly perfectly if bad actors had designed it to manipulate elections without the citizens knowing. And when I saw that as a potential, I decided to start traveling around to investigate to see if that's indeed what happened. And after a year or so of traveling around, giving demonstrations and presentations of the threats in the systems, I've examined some of the voting systems, forensically examined some of the voting systems. I just wasn't making the progress that I thought would be necessary in order to correct the problem, which is we have to put elections back into the hands of the people. If the people are not running our elections and they're not a simple process that the citizens can all verify without any intrinsic knowledge or advanced knowledge of systems, or they shouldn't have to be a computer expert to be able to verify that their vote counts. I mean, that's ridiculous. But one would have to be not even just a computer expert, but a cybersecurity expert as well, and someone that can understand incredibly complex electronic systems in order to even determine if our votes count properly. You probably have to be a professional auditor as well. And so that is all outside of the means of most citizens. So we have a system that's not designed for the people. It's designed for sophisticated bad actors to manipulate it, putting on an illusion that it works for the rest of the public. So after a year or so of that, because I wasn't seeing the progress I thought we needed to actually fix it and put elections back in the hands of the people, I decided actually God decided, it wasn't me. I asked God for some guidance. I went to sleep one night. I was in Texas at the time. I woke up and ended up having a dream of traveling through the state of Texas in an RV, giving election integrity presentations. And it was the most bizarre dream. I'd never had an RV. I have no idea why I dreamt about an RV until I remembered the question I asked before I went to sleep for some guidance, and I realized that was it. So I, with some incredible faith, decided I guess I'm going to have to buy an RV. So I started shopping around. I settled on a fifth wheel travel trailer, and about a month later, I found a truck, and then I immediately jumped on the road that same day after I got back to Colorado with the truck, and drove straight to Texas to have the RV and truck trailer christened by a group of church members there that were welcoming me into the state of Texas. And then I began my journey through Texas, about 4 months worth. And since then, I've been on the road. So if you go to handcountroadshow.org, right there, take you to this site. Oh, hold on. Let me go back here. All right. So if you go to handcountroadshow.org and start scrolling down, what I'd recommend is pull that up and then just go to the very end of the page, and that'll kind of start my journey. So we scroll up just a little bit here. On my way out of Colorado, I swung by El Paso County right there, and then I started hitting all these other counties on the way. And let me see if I can get my big fat head out of the way here.
So when you're
There we
going
go.
to these different counties, what exactly are you doing?
Well, I give election integrity presentations to help educate the citizens about how the system works, what all the components are, how they all fit together, if someone was abusing them, how they would go about abusing them, and what we would see, what type of symptoms we'd see in order to be able to put in some mitigation to stop this abuse from happening. And this type of abuse can happen at the local county level, and it can happen all the way, across the world. From another country can manipulate a county's elections with the way this whole system is designed. And I'm not talking about hacking computers or hacking voting systems and coming in remotely over the internet or anything like that. I'm talking about a much more sophisticated, somewhat covert method of manipulating our elections by taking advantage of mail-in ballots, electronic poll books, mail-in ballot tracking, and early voting. And that altogether creates a feedback loop where the bad actors can build a very simple results model of the elections just by knowing who has voted. So it's all data driven. And they use that data to determine what the election results actually are from the real voting citizens. And then they know what they want the results to be. It's a simple subtraction. And then they inject ballots into the system using the already injected phantom entries in the voter rolls that they then harvest and fill out and send back in. That's one of the potential methods of manipulation. So after Texas, I went into Utah, and then let's see here, Arizona for a while. I ran out to South Carolina, and then let's see here. After that, a lot of time in Arizona, New Mexico, Georgia, more time in Mexico, a little step to Colorado, Wisconsin, Michigan. Been all over Ohio, Pennsylvania, right before the election, North Carolina. I was there during the whole storm. Almost got caught in it. Actually, I did get caught in it. Luckily, it was okay. I snuck behind a grocery store and parked my trailer there. And I mean, there were trees down everywhere, but I was unscathed, thank goodness. And then I went back to let's see, Arkansas, helped Searcy County with their hand count, went back to Colorado for a while, and then I just left again on the journey last month, and I went through Utah and then into Nevada. Lots of time in Colorado. There's my Nevada stuff. I had great events in Nevada, and then I'm here in California. So I ended up here. I think July 10th was my first event here in San Diego, and then I'm in Orange County right now. Had a couple events and heading on the rest of the route. So if anyone wants to see where I'm going next, it's all right there. There's Ventura, Fresno, Marin, Sonoma, and I think I'm gonna hit Shasta and a couple other little counties as I head out of here, and then I'm on to Oregon and Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and that'll take me to December.
Nice. So you are pretty much a one-man show with what you're doing now, right? With the Hand Count Roadshow.
I am a one-man show. Yeah, pretty much always have been.
So how do you get funded, Mark? Who's helping you pay for this?
No one. The citizens, when I go county to county, sometimes I get a few bucks here and there to pay for some fuel. I'm just going through what's left of my savings account.
So you're spending your personal
yeah.
savings going out and waking up the people in the different precincts, like precinct to precinct, and waking them up and showing them exactly how this is done. You're teaching them, you're informing them exactly what's going on, what you've seen through your expertise. Can you explain to us what your expertise is, what your background is?
IT, cybersecurity. I started programming when I was very young, about 10 years old. I started, bulletin board. It was one of the largest bulletin boards in the Western U.S. I ran with like 12 or 13 years old. I've been into computers for a very long time. Got into cybersecurity, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, complex systems, root cause analysis. Pretty extensive background. I was into home automation for quite a while. Did a lot of that. Did car audio as well, home audio, home theater. But cybersecurity and forensics. I mean, 30, 40 years in the IT industry, and
Right.
I ended up getting a little bit bored of IT and decided to shift gears a little bit and wanted to learn to be a machinist. So I started working in automotive performance as well. I've worn a lot of hats, and I was kind of getting anxious to retire in a number of years. My kind of plan was around this time I wanted to retire, but when COVID hit, it just took a massive dent. And then when the 2020 election happened, destroyed our country. It destroyed the middle class, and that my business was middle class company. So it ruined, most of my customers. A lot of people that I worked with went out of business, even in the automotive stuff. A lot of them have gone out of business. The citizens can barely afford to buy anything. And I saw what was happening to our country. And I could not let that happen. I guess I technically could have just said, okay, I'm going to take my savings, my nest egg, and, go retire somewhere, find an island and relax. But I could not do that and watch the rest of our country just disintegrate into nothing. And I kept looking at these kids, young kids that were about to inherit this country in this condition. And I felt horribly irresponsible for being asleep at the wheel along with a lot of other people and not noticing what had happened and how our country had been eroded. I never ran for office. I never thought to run for office. I figured other people run for office. Maybe had I run for office 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I could have done something to slow the roll on this or stop it altogether, because at least someone with my knowledge would have been paying attention and would have been able to say, caution guys, this is stupid, because bad actors could manipulate this. So no, we should not go this direction. But I just assumed there are people out there smarter than me making those decisions. And turns out that was a really big mistake, because they weren't.
This has nothing to do with, and I'm an independent. I don't know what your party affiliation is, but I'm an independent, and this has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. This has
no, not at all.
This has to do with, because both parties are effectively rigging these elections. It's us versus them.
I will say this: the uniparty is rigging the elections, and
Right.
the uniparty exists in both parties and all sides. Everyone's rigging. All the elites that actually run the show are rigging everything in our lives. We, the people, the citizens, are all getting screwed no matter what party we're in. There's a club of people that the establishment that is perfectly happy to run things the way they want to run them. And they have built all these systems, whether it's, financial or electronic or election related. They've built all these systems of control. And what their goal is, and I didn't know this years ago, I figured all this out. What their goal was to get the citizens to believe the illusion that they had freedom in order for these guys to continue suckling off of the labor of all of us to support their lifestyle and the power and control that they want to have over us. So this is an awakening moment for all of us that are getting screwed by these political elites that have set this system of control up. And I used to be a Democrat. I was a Democrat most of my life. I thought that was the problem. So I switched parties. I think that like 2011-ish, I believe. And I thought, okay, well, I'm a conservative and that'll solve all my problems. But there's still problems there. So I think what happened is these people, these sick people, infiltrated the Democrat Party first. They infiltrated it decades ago, completely gutted it, changed it from the inside, and changed its direction because the Democrat Party that I was a part of back in the day is not at all the same as the Democrat Party that exists today. And likewise, when I became a Republican, the Republican Party has also started to change and morph into something different. And I'm seeing how sick it is. I'm seeing how it's all set up and rigged against the people. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to do everything I can to stop that because this country belongs to us, the people, not this elite group of individuals that think they own the whole place. They don't. It's ours, not theirs.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like all they want to do is just fire up their war machine. They want to send bombs overseas. They want to bolster big pharma. They want to put injections in you, even though you don't want them. They want to shut your businesses down during COVID, which was probably, we touched on that a little bit ago, but one of the probably biggest killers to small business in my lifetime. And I don't know if you recognize that, but that was probably one of the biggest killers of small business was COVID-19 pandemic. And they effectively shut down the middle class, and people like Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, all the big box stores, they're the ones that flourished, but at the expense and at the cost of small business owners like myself. And we're just now climbing out of this hole, and we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel for being able to plan a future. But during the pandemic, it was pretty bleak. There wasn't very much optimism. A lot of small businesses, many restaurants closed their doors in our area. And that's sad because some of these restaurants have been in the area for 30, 40 years, and they made it through a whole lot of stuff, but they could not make it through what I consider the pandemic. And that was to kill small businesses and force draconian lockdowns.
Yeah.
And so
that's exactly what they did.
It's sad to watch these restaurants and these businesses that I've known and grown up around close their doors because they simply can't afford it no more. I
talk to citizens all the time that are affected by it. I give these presentations to her. I meet in these counties as I'm going through the county. And I love small business owners. I am a small business owner. And that's what built our country was small business owners. So I talk to these other small business owners, and a lot of them have lost their business. And they're struggling now trying to figure out how they're going to survive. But that's what these elites want us to do. These elites do not want us to be able to stand on our own feet. They want us to be totally dependent on the system of control they have created so they can essentially enslave us, use our labor to support their lifestyles. And I ain't no slave. Not going to happen. And not a single other citizen of this country is a slave. And we are not going to continue being slaves. The solution is so easy. Once we take away their beloved little election illusion system and we start counting our own votes and running our own elections, their entire house of cards falls. The entire thing comes crashing down. And that's why they are distracting us with everything they possibly can in order to just keep us away and dissuade us from not fixing the election system.
So you've been around many states now. You just told us all the states that you've been to and where you're going or where you're at in California. Have you noticed a trend of the local officials that are getting placed and selected into these offices, because the
Well,
ones that we're noticing here in Texas, they're not very smart. They're not sharp individuals. They are actually puppets of the system, and all they want is that title and that money and that power. They have zero want to do anything good for the community. All they want is the title, the power, and the money. Are you seeing
yeah,
that
I mean
difference?
that's absolutely all over the country. And if you think about it, listen, the people that want to control everything don't have enough people to control everything. So if they can massage the system to put uh, either controllable people in place or just put awful people in those positions that'll run the whole thing into the ground, that works perfectly well for them as well. Because these people just run on autopilot because they don't know how to, run a state or run a county. And look at Colorado, for instance. That whole state, it's a failed state now. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it was flourishing. Now, it's a total disaster. There are businesses closing left and right. There's almost no restaurants left open. All these small businesses are closing. The big box stores, most of them are gone. I think Home Depot and Lowe's are probably most of the only ones that are left. There's crime and homeless all over the place, violent crime as well. The whole thing's a disaster. And we've got someone that doesn't know what the heck they're doing, that's running the show there. Multiple people, cities, and for the entire state. So the bad guys, of course, they're going to put, because they can massage the system, they know exactly how to manipulate it. They've got many easy ways to do so. They're going to put idiots in these positions, or controllable idiots in these positions, or they'll just put their right hand people in the positions, and then we lose it. So that's why we must take back control of the entire election system if we are going to survive as a country.
We have
That's it.
to. We
We have
absolutely
no
have
choice.
to. And what we're noticing is you have a choice between bad and worse on the ballots.
By design.
Yeah, it's all about design. They want weak or weaker on the ballots. Somebody that's 100% controllable, 100% blackmailed, or somebody that just absolutely doesn't care about the people whatsoever and will do whatever they're
Yeah.
told to.
The people don't understand. It's not just the elections that are engineered, like the voting systems or stuffing votes or ballots or anything like that. It's actually the whole ecosystem is fully engineered from top to bottom. It's candidate engineering, not just election system engineering. This is candidate engineering, where they engineer just the right candidates and they mold the process of running for office in a way to make it conducive to the people they want to put in there. So if a citizen goes and tries to run for office, they almost don't have a fighting chance because the system is built to work against them. The thing is totally rigged. But I do want to make a very important point here. It's not doom and gloom. And this does not mean don't run for office. We must run for office. In fact, we have to, because what they want us to do is stop running altogether. And if we stop running altogether, we definitely guaranteed loss. That's the best way to lose, is not to run. So what we need to do is run, learn from it. If we lose the first time, run a second time and take everything you learn to further your chances at winning the second time or the third time. We can never, ever give up. They want us to give up. They want us to stop voting. They want us to stop running for office. What we need to do is the exact opposite of what they want us to do, right? Spite it. This country was built by rebels. What happened? How did we end up a land of conformists?
Right.
We are a land of rebels. So people start acting like the rebels that we are and that built this country and gave us this freedom. Run for office, go out and vote like crazy on election day in person. And we are going to overwhelm these people, because we're not going to let criminals, a small number of criminals, take over our entire beautiful country. I mean, you got ripped off too, when you ran. I mean, everyone we want people like you as sheriff. People that support the Constitution, that do the right thing, that are honest. And that's the last thing these criminals want in place. So of course they're going to rig it for you. And I'm glad you caught them. I'm
Yes.
glad you found what you found. Now what we have to do is we got to wake up the rest of the citizens who have believed the illusion this whole time. They think there's no problem. They believe the big lie, which is that our election system works. Because I'll tell you what, once all the citizens realize the frickin' thing is rigged, it is going to be game over for these guys. So that's
Right.
why I'm going out educating people to try to help them understand how rigged the whole thing actually is and help them teach others the same thing. This is an education problem at its core. We need to
Right.
fix that.
Mark, we have a lady in our county. It's our county clerk. Her name is Joyce Hudman. And in my opinion, she belongs behind bars in prison for what she's done in Brazoria County and the way that she handles these elections. I have a feeling that if we were to replace Joyce Hudman as the county clerk and we take back our election systems from the county at the county office, we can take over. We can get these good people that want to run and want to succeed and want to promote the wealth of the community, small business, the safety of the community. I think if we replace Joyce Hudman, we can do that. And I want to get into that. We need to get a word from our sponsors real fast. But I want to talk to you about exactly what you found, how they manipulate the data, what you're seeing from state to state, and what the correlations are, and how they all intertwine.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, let's get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Looking for real coverage from real people? Whether it's your home, car, or business, go see Landra Olson's team at Farmers Insurance in West Columbia, Texas, where hometown service meets top-rated protection. Boat season's here. Is your ride ready? At Liquid Rides in Brazoria, we handle certified marine repairs and full engine builds. We're your Mercury Marine and PCM dealer, keeping you smooth all year. Plus, custom stereo installs for boats, vehicles, side-by-sides, and Jeeps. Liquid Rides, custom audio, certified performance, built in Texas. Need a barn built to last? At Stuckey Barns in Brazoria County, Texas, we blend quality craftsmanship with rugged durability and Texas pride to make your dream barn real. From custom barns to metal buildings, we build strong, local, and backed by hometown service. Need bold, high-quality ink? Seven Souls Tattoo Studio has you covered. We're obsessively clean and professional, guiding you from idea to unforgettable art. Got old ink? We'll transform it into stunning new work with precision and creativity. Drop by Seven Souls at 20 Circle Way in Lake Jackson, Texas. Fentanyl is taking our loved ones' lives every day, but knowledge can save them. Travis's Voice is dedicated to raising awareness, educating communities, and preventing future tragedies. To learn more, go to travis'svoice.org.
And now, back to the Kevin Henry Podcast.
And we're back with Mark Cook with the Hand Count Roadshow. Mark, what are some things that we can do in Brazoria County as citizens that we can ensure the safety of our elections? We were just talking about replacing the county clerk that doesn't seem to be getting the elections right and not following the different election laws. What can we do that you've noticed that you can recommend to us?
Well, one thing that I'd recommend as far as replacing the county clerk is this. These people probably already have a second and third in line in case they ever have a problem with their people that are currently in office. So keep in mind that if you're going to do something, let's say expose something or put pressure to get rid of someone, who do you have ready to go run and replace that person? Who are they going to put in place? Sometimes they just appoint someone else. If an individual leaves in the middle of their term, who appoints them, and what does that process looks like, and who would be appointed? So consider that. Can always consider the second, third, fourth phases of something like that. But to answer your question on what other things can we do to secure it, I have put this all together for citizens. If you go to handcountroadshow.org and you click on that big red button, click for election solution. I'll go ahead and do it right now. So click here. Oh, there it is right here. You'll get the progressive election platform that I put together here. And yes, I know it says progressive. I just like to have some fun with their terms. I know it'll piss them off, so I don't mind using it. So this progressive election platform, and it is progressive actually, and I'm not going to let them take that word. So the point of this is the citizens can't have an election system that they can't understand. they can't have an election system that isn't transparent, that they can verify. So we must have something that's simple, transparent, and verifiable and understandable by every American citizen. So I lay it out right here in the scope, and then I go over how we need to address the different areas here. So this is what we need to do with voter registration. Counties must once again become the sole custodian of their county voter registrations, because in a lot of cases, the state has stolen that from the county. And they have either given it to these third-party organizations, or they, manage it internally. And some of them manage it internally with some piece of software that some other company actually writes and has control of. It's not what they claim it is, unfortunately. And everyone but the citizens have control of this stuff. Even our county clerks who think they have control of it actually don't. And a lot of them don't even realize they don't have true control of it, because they've just blindly believed everyone above them, because the entire system is built on a pyramid of lies. So we move the voter registration back to the counties and give them sole custodianship of that, put that responsibility back into their hands. They also must become the sole arbiter of registrant eligibility. That's really important. We shouldn't allow the DMV to determine that, or someone at the state to determine it, or some third party organization, some NGO out of Washington, D.C. with 3 employees. We shouldn't be doing that either. It should be our county officials that we elect to be the ones that are in charge of determining who is eligible to vote and who is not. And the county is the best place to do it, because they would know better than anyone else who lives right there in that same county. And we should be registering every.
Can you briefly describe the vulnerabilities in that, what you just described there? what they're doing to get more voters in the system?
Well, they do a number of things. They've, 15 years ago, they removed the question off the census. Are you a legal U.S. citizen? I couldn't figure out why they would do that at the time, but now it makes perfect sense. Once removing that question off the census, now it opens up the census to be filled with entries that could be illegals, or could just be made up, and there's no way for us to verify and go find the illegal anyway. So basically just took a system that we could verify before and created out of it a system that's totally unverifiable. They can have plenty of plausible deniability on these additional entries that are in it. And then that creates headroom in order to inject phantom records into our voter registration as well. And that's essentially what I have seen evidence of all over the country. This is the kind of thing that's happening. We have so many entries in our voter rolls that are wrong, bad, people don't exist, bad addresses, etc. Well, obviously it's not all by accident. And once they're in there, it's almost impossible for the citizens to get them out. And so you have to wonder, why would that be? Well, obviously it is to be able to stuff ballots in and then hang those ballots on those voter registration entries. So the name of the game for the bad guy is get as many phantom entries stuffed into the voter rolls as possible. Mass voter registration, but not even necessarily voter registration, because they don't have to be citizens. They just want to get entries in that database, because the more entries they get in the database with mass mail ballots, all those ballots are going to get sent out. And if they end up going to an address that doesn't exist, or a person that doesn't exist, they get bounced back, and then in a lot of cases can get harvested very easily if they even get sent out. My guess is, if the companies that are sending these out are in on it, they just won't send them out to the people they know don't exist, and they'll harvest them right there from step 1 and then shove them back into the system. There are so many ways for this thing to be manipulated. That's why I cannot stand it. So I wrote the PEP to take all of these attack vectors and abuse vectors out of the system entirely, so we could return it to the simplest, most transparent, verifiable system we could come up with, while still allowing everyone to vote. And so these phantom voter registrations are a massive problem, because our county officials aren't the sole arbiters of eligibility, and they aren't the sole custodian of these records. So if we put them back on paper, 3x5 index cards at the county building, then we don't have to worry about any electronic fraud, because now we're on paper. And those pieces of paper should be signed by the voter when they register to vote, and they should be signed in the presence of the county officials. And then the county officials should notarize that document, because that voter registration is very valuable, because it allows you to exercise the most valuable asset that any American citizen has, which is their voice on their ballot. And so
Right.
we need to exercise the same respect and dignity to these voter registrations, of which we're not doing right now. So they need to be on paper, voter registration card, witness signature, and then a read-only standardized in a universal format digital list of the registered voters must be shared by every county to everyone and for everyone. Right on the county website, you should be able to click on it and get a download of that list of registered voters so you can cross-reference it. And if any citizen can cross-reference it, the state can cross-reference it, and every other county can check every other county's list against their own. That's how we do this.
Bad guys are saying that's going to take way too long, but I don't see how it could take that much longer if take longer at all.
I've never seen them say it would take way too long if everything's digital from the paper, which I created a proof of concept, very simple thing that just takes scanned voter registration cards and it digitizes them into a database, a read-only database, and voting day, those voter registration cards, those 3x5 index cards that have the real signatures from the real live voters that showed up to register in the first place, those are the cards that go to the precinct where we should be voting. And that is where people's identity is checked against those same cards and those signatures that were signed in person and notarized. So
Right.
that if we move it all back to paper and we move it back to the counties, that will cut out a massive amount of fraud in our system. Then absentee ballots, we can't have mass absentees or mass mail, whatever you want to call it. We have to reduce that only to those people, those voters that can prove a need for an absentee ballot. And then if you're going to create a hole in our election system with absentee ballots, as they do, the last thing you do is open up that hole to everyone. You don't make a million holes. You just add additional levels of protection over the hole you just created to ensure that it's not abused. And this is why I look at this system and I look at the people that manage these and think, how utterly stupid can people be that don't understand this? And there are good people out there, but good people that are just stupid, that don't understand there's bad guys out there and they're manipulating the system right under their stupid noses. And of course, there are corrupt people in these positions. And obviously, you can try to convince them all day long there's a problem. They don't care because the system as it stands benefits them. So they'll just in it one ear, right out the other. They don't care. Thank you, little peasant, is all they'll tell you, and go away now. So
And
we have to identify who our target is.
Sorry to step on you. There's a lot of people in the community, whether they're business owners or they're CEOs of larger corporations and companies, they turn a blind eye to it too. They know and they see the same thing that we're seeing, but they turn a blind eye to it because it benefits them, like what you're saying. So I've never
Possibly.
had that.
Yeah.
I've never had that bone in my body to be a coward, but to watch people bend a knee to money and power and influence is absolutely sickening. And the people in the community notice it. We all notice who's in on the take. We all see who's doing it. What's your thoughts on actually running the ballots to a central location to be counted and not counted at the precinct level itself?
Well, here, let me actually, I've got that section covered here as well. So that's right on election day. And what we need to be doing for election day is a 1-day voting holiday. We need to have elections at the precinct. We need to be voting at the precinct. And once people are done voting, when the polls close, those ballots cannot be moved anywhere before they're counted. They must be tabulated right there, counted where cast. We do not move them to another building. We do not wait until tomorrow to tabulate them either. And when I say counting, I'm not talking about counting the ballots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm talking about counting the choices on the ballots because I know these psychopaths like to play little word games with everyone. So obviously, counting the choices on the ballot. And this is where manipulation happens in elections. One of the biggest places is between time and space in an election. Time and space between events in an election is where manipulation happens. And someone very wise named Bob Hall actually told me that. And I listened to that and thought, that is absolutely brilliant. And so I very much respect Bob because that's exactly what it is. Time and space. So what you want to do is you want to eliminate as much time and space between events in an election in order to reduce the amount of fraud potential across the board. So you don't wait to the next day and you don't move it even to the next room before you tabulate them. And you had something happen to you that's a perfect example of that, actually, didn't you?
Yeah, you're telling me that they can't load these ballots up and take them, divert paths, and go to the Lake Jackson Mall with them? Why are
What a perfect
why
opportunity to manipulate them.
why are we not allowing that? Like, we should just allow them to go anywhere with the ballots. Like, for instance, the last election that I witnessed, it was actually a big school bond vote, $167 million. The Republican Party chair, Shane Green, and his wife took the ballots and tried to shake us off 2 different times, pulling over on the side of the road, and then eventually calling the cops on me because we were following the ballots. We were literally doing a civic duty to make sure that we weren't burdened with a school bond vote that nobody can afford right now. But they called the cops on me, and when I showed up and followed them into the tabulation center, the cops were out there waiting, wanting to talk to me. So there's something fishy going on between the precinct voting location and the central tabulation location.
Well,
So what?
if his wife went with him, what she was probably there to make sure nothing untoward was happening, right?
Yeah, yeah, I would have. There was actually somebody else in the back seat of the vehicle. So there was three of them. There
That's
was
bizarre.
the Brazoria County precinct chair was driving. His wife was in the passenger seat, and then there was another woman in the back seat of the truck. So three of them
Where
all
were the
ran.
ballots?
They were in the back seat.
Well, that'd be very dangerous because if let's say one of those were a bad actor, like the person in the back seat with those ballots, what would stop them from opening up that ballot box and going through all those ballots and adding ballots, removing ballots, swapping ballots out on that little detour that was taken in order to affect the results of the election?
Well, they tried to pull over on the side of the road and shake me off, but I didn't shake off. I literally parked right behind them, and they were all looking through the window at me like, "What the hell's going on?" And they were going extremely slow on the way to the tabulation center. So we didn't afford them that time that they needed to rig the school bond. And in turn, the school bond did not pass. But it was extremely close. All they needed was 1 or 2 more% for that $167 million burden that was about to be placed on the Brazoria County taxpayers. And meanwhile, people are losing their homes because of these school bonds. But had it been 1 or 2 more%, which they could have easily done in the backseat of that pickup, we followed them and shut that down in its tracks.
You may be the hero of Brazoria County, my friend.
Yeah, we're just looking for fairness. I'm looking for people that don't get kicked out of homes because they can't afford these ridiculous property taxes. And they're out there lying and telling people that the school bonds have nothing to do with it. The school bonds have everything to do with your property taxes.
People are lying.
Come on. Come on, Mark.
This
But
is what
no,
criminals do. Criminals
well,
lie. They lie, they deceive, they manipulate. That's the name of the game, and they don't feel bad about it. They
well,
flat lie. Yeah.
that's the reason why they put the morons in office. They are
Mhm.
literally selected morons that do what they're told to do, and if they step out of line, they're warned that they will be replaced and exposed. So we have we have quite a few. Like, we've had some really good people run for office. We've had great people run for clerk, for different commissioners' offices, different constables' offices, but we always seem to get stuck with the worst possible choices. And it makes you want to just bang your head on a wall because nobody, and when I say nobody, I'm telling you, nobody votes for these people, but somehow they always seem to get placed into office. And after watching them try to divert on the highway with our ballots, I know exactly how they're doing it. And we have to start by replacing. It's not what's that saying? It's not who votes, it's who counts the votes.
And who transports the votes?
And who transports the vote, exactly, who transports the votes and
Mhm.
who their wife is, Shane Green. But we have to replace Joyce Hudman. She's our county clerk. She is the one responsible for our elections. We have to replace her with somebody that is willing to step up and clean that whole place out because I'm telling you right now, it's not good. There's nothing good coming out of that elections office, and what they're doing and what they're allowing ballots to go to the Lake Jackson Mall, ballots to be transported by the Republican Party chair. How is that even fair that the Republican Party chair has his hands all over the ballots from the time they're locked up in the cases to the time they're put into his truck and to the time they're actually moved into tabulation center? And then not only that, he gets to sit in the tabulation room while they're plugging flash drives in. They removed my poll watcher whenever she tried to walk into that room where they're plugging flash drives in and manipulating data with the flash drives. They kicked my poll watcher out of the room when she tried to walk in. But Shane Green gets to be front and center in that room. What could they be doing in that tabulation center, Mark, right, with the flash drives?
Well, it'd be very, very simple to swap flash drives without anyone noticing. It'd be very simple to load up some extra votes on a flash drive without anyone noticing. There are unlimited ways to manipulate elections if the citizens aren't there watching and they can't see what's going on. And when you have electronics involved, like flash drives, anything can happen. You load stuff up on them; they could be used to flip votes. Uh, your imagination is probably all the limiting factor on what they can do to these elections. That's why they want elections in a system that the citizens have no control of and can't see and can't understand. Complexity breeds insecurity. Complexity breeds fraud. And that's what's happening here. And it doesn't matter which way they're doing, whether it's stuffing ballots through the mail-in ballots and using the feedback loop system that they've created, or whether they're just good old-fashioned swapping ballots out on the drive from one building to another.
Right. So the Texas Rangers stepped in and they did an investigation on exactly that, them kicking my poll watchers out. And so the Rangers came in, did an investigation. I still have yet to get the police report, the Rangers report, because the district attorney, Tom Selleck, is playing games with me, trying to overcharge me to even get that Rangers report and the video camera footage from the tabulation center that night when they kicked my poll watcher out. So that should all be stuff that I should be able to get a hold of without hundreds and hundreds of dollars of expense at my cost to be able to see that. But the Rangers,
you paid for it anyway. Your tax dollars did pay for all that equipment, right? Those people they're supposed to serve you, the citizen. Why on earth would you have to pay something for them to give you something that's already part of their job anyway? We're already paying them. They have a job paid for by our tax dollars, your tax dollars. So therefore they work for you. It's pretty simple. I think they have forgot or don't care that they actually serve the citizens, and maybe they need a bit of a reminder.
they're not going to change until somebody goes to jail. It's that simple. They have been emboldened, they have been empowered to rig and manipulate these elections for years, probably decades. So there's nothing that they're going to do to change what they're doing, because now if they change what they're doing and somebody good gets into office, i.e. sheriff, if we get a good sheriff that goes in and opens up an investigation on these people, they all go to jail. And they know it. They all go to jail, including the chief the chief appraiser for Brazoria County, for overvaluating people's homes and getting people removed from their homes for not being able to afford their taxes. That guy needs to go to jail. Joyce Hudman needs to go to jail. There's a lot of people that need to go to jail. And then there's a lot of people in Joyce Hudman's office that are the orchestrators of the election crimes. And we watch that every single election. There's black boxes that they put over redacted boxes on all the cameras in the election center. If those elections are on the up and up, why do you need to put any black redacted boxes to not show what's going on in those offices at all, anywhere?
Like they did in Carbon County, Montana. That same thing happened where that clerk got caught shredding ballots in the middle of the night before she was tabulating them on election. She was running to be reelected as clerk. She got caught. She did the same thing. She blacked out all the surveillance video, but she left a little slit at the top. And that in that little slit, if you zoom in 650 times, you can see her over at the paper shredder, shredding what looks to be ballots in the middle of the night. Absolutely.
Wow.
We caught her. Went to the sheriff. The sheriff said, I can't do anything about it. You got to go to the AG. Went to the attorney general. He looked at it and said, yeah, it looks like she's shredding ballots, but I can't do anything about that. You got to go to the sheriff.
Oh, so they're pointing fingers at each other. You got to go to this. That's crazy. So they're all cowards. Every single one of them, they're cowards because
Or
they
they're
were put.
complicit. Or they're complicit and they're part of the system. Yeah.
They're absolutely complicit because they were put into those
Could be.
offices.
They could be cowards too. I hope
Yeah.
for their benefit they're just cowards, and I hope they stop being cowards at some point, because ultimately, at some point, the citizens of this country are going to be done. They're going to have had enough, and then someone's going to end up doing something that's not good, and we don't want our country to go to that place. We need to do everything possible to avoid that. And I really truly hope that these election officials, that if you are just ignorant to all this and you believe the big lie, trust me, if you just come clean with what's been going on, you will be protected by the citizens. You will end up on the right side of this. And I will fight for you. Absolutely. And if anyone says anything bad, I'll go after them, because we need to support people that finally open their eyes and decide to do the right thing. But those of you that don't, and those of you that are in on all this, not a single one of you will escape. And we, the people of the United States of America, need to make sure every single person that has deceived the American people and manipulated elections is held accountable for their actions. Every single one.
Right. And I strongly agree with you on that. And I also feel like we're at a point now where we have to start looking at what's the key role at the county level that we need to take over. It's the elections. We need to take over the spots where the elections office is controlled. We need to take over that particular spot. It's an elected position. It's in our county, in Brazoria County, it's the Brazoria County Clerk. Somebody has to run against this woman. So somebody needs to step up and take control of the elections in their county at that particular spot. Do you agree?
Absolutely. We all have to. We need to be running for every position that exists in our counties. That's how we start taking this over again. If we don't run for those positions, they'll just put someone else in there that is not going to be beholden to us. So we got to get off our butts and run. And I'm not just talking the talk. I was going to run for Secretary of State in 2022. So I started exercising, looking at it in 2021. And I realized that I would be better off for the country by traveling around helping people understand how this whole thing is rigged, rather than put all my resources into running for Secretary of State in one completely corrupt state where there's no way I could win in that current environment. So that's why I went out, and I didn't want to run against Tina Peters, and I didn't want to run against David Winnie, who both were friends of mine and running for Secretary of State. But I will run for office when I'm through with this and trying to educate everyone I can in the country, doing everything I can to open eyes and save our country. Darn right, I will. I'll take the lead somewhere and serve my fellow citizens in some capacity to try to be part of the solution, rather than just someone in the passenger seat and never stepping into the driver's seat.
And that's fantastic, Mark. And we'll do everything on our end to make sure that we can help you any way we can as soon as you throw your hat in the ring.
Appreciate it.
Speaking of Tina Peters, that's a true American hero. That woman belongs, like, she deserves a statue pretty much in every state in the whole entire United States. She deserves a statue everywhere, because what she has done and what she has gone through as a human being, just literally standing on principle and values, and to be thrown in prison because of what she's done just makes me furious. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, what she went through?
So yeah, Tina, briefly, she's was a clerk in Mesa County, Colorado, small mountain town in Colorado, and she thought there was a problem with her election system because they had some really strange things happen in it in early 2021. This was after the 2020 election, and she thought everything in the 2020 was fine there. This was a heavy conservative county. They got fairly conservative results, and no big red flags. But right after that, the city council race happened, and the entire existing city council got wiped off the face, and all conservative people got replaced with progressives, which was very bizarre. And one of them their representative told Tina before she'd even put all the ballots through the tabulators that they had won and by how many votes they won. And Tina couldn't figure out how they knew the answer to this before she even finished tabulating the ballots. And then she found out all of them got replaced. So she started looking a little bit deeper in it. And right then, the Secretary of State and the voting system vendor said they had to install what's called a trusted build, and to remove the QR code feature on her election system. And so they came up to do that. She tried to have them wait because she wanted to recount all these ballots because these ballots had QR codes on them. So she was worried that if they remove the QR code feature, she can't recount the ballots. And these machines had data that she had to keep for at least 25 months in the state of Colorado. And it just had the 2020 election, which is the most contentious election in our history. So she had a backup made of the voting system. And then these people came up, kicked her out of her office, did a bunch of work for like 2 days. And then when they were done, she had another image taken because she wanted to see if they changed what they said they changed. And then she hired attorneys, and the attorneys hired a forensic team. I was on that forensic team, so I actually got to see what was going on. And that was my first look inside these black box systems. And what I found is they overwrote the whole voting system. They put a whole new voting system on top of the old one. They deleted all the log files, the databases, all these remnants, the bits and pieces that would be really important forensic stuff to look at. They wiped, but luckily we had the before image, so we saw what it looked like before they wiped it. And we see what they were trying to hide. There's a couple reports, Mesa Report 1 and 2, I took part in, and Doug Gould and I both wrote it, but his name's on it. My name's not, just because I didn't care about the credit, but I just wanted to do the work. And then Report 3 is written by Doug Gould and Jeff O'Donnell. So Report 1 shows the differences between the two images. Report 2 shows how these systems are totally not safe and secure like they claim they are. And that's how I know the vendors are lying to everyone. And then on Report 3, it shows this phantom extra set of databases that magically showed up on the election system 3 days during the tabulation process. Just bizarre stuff, unexplainable. The voting system vendor should have been made to explain it. And if we had a functioning attorney general or DA, they would have made the voting system company explain exactly how all these things happened. And they should have gone into why there's evidence that they have lied to all of us about their software. But instead of that, they didn't touch the voting system vendor. They went and attacked Tina Peters and started trying to prosecute her for everything she did to take the images. And they have since put her in prison. She's in Colorado State prison right now. She is 69 years old. She's a Gold Star mom with a Navy SEAL son who she lost a few years ago in a parachute accident. And these people have put this woman in prison in Colorado. It is the most disgusting thing ever. She's still in prison. She suffered all kinds of things in her life, lost a lot of family members, lost her son, lost part of her lungs fighting cancer. And these sick psychopaths have put her in prison to scare every other election official from being Tina Peters.
This is not a Democrat. We're gonna touch on this again. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue.
Not at all.
This goes down in every county. It happens across party lines. It doesn't matter if you're red or if you're blue. They rig the elections. They manipulate the data. They cover each other's tracks. They get the local newspaper to write hit pieces on you if you speak out against it. And in this case, what I call a hero, a true American hero, gets jailed in prison and gets locked up in prison in the later part of her life for simply speaking up for the American people and the people in her state, Colorado.
They gave her 9 years. 9 years. At 69 years old, they gave her 9 years in prison. They gave her a death sentence for questioning our election. Political prisoner.
These people belong in prison. From the people in my county, like Joyce Hudman, to the people that are doing this to Tina Peters in Colorado, literally, it doesn't matter what party you're part of. It matters on what your morals are. And when you see fraud, you should announce it and say, this isn't right. But there's a lot of cowards that just have jelly spines and they won't do it. There's people at the local level all the way up to the national level. It doesn't matter. It's all across the states. Mark, where can people go to find these reports on Tina Peters?
Okay. They're actually, I think they're on her website. So right here under reports and filings, and it's tinapeters.us. If you click on report and filings, let's see, I'm pretty sure they are on here. I do have them on handcountroadshow.org also, but let's see here. So yeah, all the documents here, looks like, dockets, declarations, filings, and there they are. Forensic report, 1, 2, 3, and then a fact check on the district attorney who made a comment about the reports. And he's totally off base. So this is a little fact check on him. And so that's where you can find it, tinapeters.us. And there's a donate link also right there. So don't trust all these other people taking donations for Tina. The only donations for Tina, as I've been told, are on tinapeters.us. Everything else I've been told is fake.
Okay. Thank you for that, because there's a lot of fraud going around in this movement. Mark, not only do I feel like Tina Peters is a true American hero, you're out there spending your personal savings going around and waking up the country to what's going on. I feel like you're a true American hero too. How can people get a hold of you? How can people reach out to you?
I appreciate that. You too. I mean, hey, it'd be awful lonely doing this alone. So, if anyone does want to help me, I'm a proud person. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't like asking for help. I've never been one to ask for help. I always do my own thing. But in this place I am in my life, I can't continue doing it. My savings is going to run out here, and that was my retirement. It was everything. So I don't know what I'm going to do after this, but yeah, I'm running out. If anyone does want to help, I appreciate it very much. Thank you. I'll keep fighting. If you go to handcountroadshow.org and you go over to where it says donate here and click on that link, what I've tried to do is list all of my expenses, like what it costs me to operate as I drive around in this trailer and travel the country. I try to list all that out. And then I got a little donate link here. You can donate by credit card if you want. If, $5 a month or $10 a month is really nice too, because having some recurring stuff, at least knowing what's coming. I get about 6 to 9 miles per gallon. And gas right now, or diesel out in California, is about $6 a gallon. So that's
Right.
basically $1 a mile as I'm driving down the road. It is insane how expensive it is here. And if people do have an Amazon account, I've got a little Amazon gift card. So if you want to buy a gift card, I mean, I do need things while I'm on the road. So I need tools and things to repair the trailer with. And then what I would also love is right here, the donor wall. So if you do donate, and thank you, please do leave a message on the donor wall too, because these messages that people leave, they really give me a lot of energy, because it's tough. I wake up and I'm basically living in parking lots, and I wake up in a parking lot. I've left my family and my friends, and I'm out here trying to fight for the country. It's a bit of a lonely life, although I get to meet a lot of amazing citizens. But I did walk away from everyone I know, and I'm in a new place like every 2 or 3 days. So it's a challenge. It's emotionally stressing. But these reading people's comments really make a huge difference. I love reading them. So please do, if you donate, please leave a comment for me as well.
Thank you so much, Mark. And I'm sure my audience really appreciates what you're doing out there for this country also. And I'm sure they have the same sentiment about you being a true American hero. What you're doing for waking up the country is absolutely amazing. God bless you. Thank you for coming on, and I hope to have you back on soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.